In today's video, we are checking out the JHS Harmonic Tremolo. This one here has two different voicings. So you have the harmonic tremolo and just the straight up, very cool sounding tremolo. I have a pedal board set up here where I'm gonna have some overdrive pedals and fuzz going into the harmonic tremolo, which would be your more typical way of using it. But I also have the 𝗃𝐿𝐼𝐌𝐿𝐿 based on a 𝐒𝐓𝐀𝐌𝐏𝐻𝐒. That's after. So I'm gonna be trying some more 𝐒𝐓𝐈𝐌𝐿𝐼-ish type of tones out of this one. Although it's a very different type of effect, you can still get some very close fake type sounds, similar to a 𝐒𝐓𝐈𝐌𝐿𝐼. So what we're going to do, we're going to listen to the harmonic tremolo on its own, and then I'm going to kick in the fuzz. Now, I'm going to be kicking in the fuzz, but what we have to keep in mind is because the effect is after, that type of modulation we're hearing is going to be way more drastic. That's where the rate or depth you might want to play with. In this case, I'm going to be playing with the depth because I don't want too much of a sweep on this effect. So let's check it out first. Something else that's really cool to do with a pedal like this is when you're just using the straight up tremolo is go for those 1960s spaghetti western type guitars with really cool lush tremolos. So here's the tone I have right now. I'm just using the Carl Martin compressor after the tremolo, which is gonna just bump up and control the tremolo effect. My parents used to listen to a lot of the rock from the 1970s and 1960s, and one of the bands that stood out for me with tremolo was CCR. I'm not sure if it's a harmonic tremolo or just a straight up tremolo, but today I don't care. I'm going to be using the harmonic tremolo going into the 𝗃𝗱𝗃𝐿. What this is going to do is, because the effect is going into something that's already clipping, we're going to be hearing a difference in how modulated it sounds. So it sounds more controlled this way. Here it is without the 𝗃𝗱𝗃𝐿. So now we're putting the effect going into the overdrive. Now, if you take a simple and boring guitar part in a mix and you do something like this. Now, in a mix, you might want to add a little more to it, but sometimes, depending on the instrumentation of the song, that might be what the part calls for. But you'll find that you don't sit in the mix, you don't get noticed as much, you don't want to necessarily be louder, you don't want to necessarily add too many effects. Well, let's start with something simple. We're going to add some reverb. But still, not enough. Here's where a tremolo could make a huge difference. So as you can hear now, I'm adding movement to a very simple part. If you think of any songs from the 1960s and 70s, especially ballads where a guitar was doing something simple, something like a tremolo could actually save you from sounding too boring. So now, a harmonic tremolo like this can be super cool when you layer it in a lead part. If I just use delay and reverb, I can get away with a lot. You know, it helps sustain the notes, it helps make the lead part just a little bit more interesting. But if you add just a bit of movement, that could be a phaser, a 𝐒𝐓𝐈𝐌𝐿, flanger, whatever it is, it just makes it that more interesting. And what's fun with the harmonic tremolo is, unlike a typical tremolo where it chops off the note, this one here almost gets a bit more like a 𝐒𝐓𝐈𝐌𝐿. It's not quite the same effect, but it's close enough that you could probably fake that type of effect. So here's how I have the whole thing laid out. So the reverb with the delay. Now let's add the harmonic tremolo. So what I'm going for is more of a classic 60s, 70s type bluesy riff. I'm going to be using the Kraken. Believe it or not, I can still get some kind of rock blues type of tone out of this pedal, although it's voiced more like a PV5150. And we're going to be using the tremolo, and it's going to get noisy because it's a single P90, and it is damn loud in this room, so... This is the part where I'm starting to have fun with this particular effect. So I have the octave reverb from JHS, also part of the 3 series, and very cool. They sent this one and the tremolo at the same time, and I've been playing both of them and really enjoying the type of tones I can get out of it. I gotta remember to breathe sometimes. Running out of breath here. Anyways, I have the 𝐒𝐓𝐀𝐌𝐿. I'm gonna have the compressor on, and I'm going to be leaving the tremolo first in the signal because I really like what it's doing first as opposed to later in the signal chain. So I'm going to show you how I layer all these effects. So I'm starting with the compressor because this is a very dynamic guitar. Here is the reverb. With the tremolo. Now sadly, tremolo is not an effect that's used so much in popular music anymore, whether that's pop music or even rock for that matter, but it's a cool effect, and sometimes the songs that use them have very iconic tones to them just because of the guitar parts. So for example, in the 1980s, we had this Gem by The Smith, which without the effect sounds like this. Now, it's a cool riff, but on its own, not so much. With the tremolo, however, so that's the cool part about tremolo, is that you can adjust the depth to get it as choppy as you want. So I think in this original recording, if I remember correctly, the people in the studio were riding the tremolo on the amp to match the tempo of the song, which is just absolutely nuts, because today you can just use tremolo as a plugin and just do all sorts of stuff in the studio to match the BPM. So if we were going old school, this is what we would have to do with this pedal, is just try to match the original song. But if I just play to the tremolo itself, this is what I'm getting. Now, another cool song that came out more recently, we're talking like, I think it's 2004, 2005-ish, was the pop punk band 𝐒𝐓𝐀𝐌𝐿𝐴. They had a song called Only One. And at the very beginning, they have this very choppy tremolo, which sounds really cool. So I'm going to try to replicate that by increasing the depth all the way and just trying to find the right rate so I can play the riff. So if you enjoyed today's video, there are plenty more like it appearing on screen right now. And if you want to see more from the JHS 3 series, I've also done demos on other pedals, so you can click on this playlist appearing on screen right now. And I'm going to see you in the next one. Cheers.